Good, you had your coffee?
Yeah.
We're good? All right, excellent. So today, right now we're going to talk about finances. I'm going to give you a little lesson on finances. Finances are actually not that difficult. They're not something that's terribly crazy, whatever. There's usually just a little bit of mismanagement that goes on, okay? So, were you aware that 87% of realtors actually fail in their first 5 years? How many of you know somebody who got their real estate license and then had to go get a part-time job? Okay? Some of you are even on that position yourself. I mean, let's just be honest, right? So, why does that happen? That's a little bit of what I want to talk about. I'm going to give you 4 rules right now. This is going to be very tangible. You can ask questions if you want. But I want to give you 4 reasons why this happens. Okay? Finances have so much to do, guys, with everything we do. I was telling a group at lunch, I had the top producers we're going to bring up here in a little bit, and I was telling them, look, here's what's really cool. When you get up in front of people and you have the ability to really help their business, help their lifestyle, whatever it may be, and people make more money, you literally change a lot of things about their life. Because what happens is when they change their financial lifestyle, you change the stress that they feel. You change maybe the way that their relationships go because you eliminated that stress. You might change the way that their kids now grow because their parents are fighting all the time about finances. There's so many things that come from this, and yet it's one of those like dirty little things that people don't really talk about. How many married people are in here? Okay. How often, and I'm being completely serious, and I'm not talking about like, do you argue about finances? How often do you talk about finances? That's awesome, I love that. Every day. Just every day. Does the conversation go like, what did you buy? Or what is the... I just want to put this out there, that is not the conversation that I'm talking about right now, okay? I'm talking about like in, out, like what's happening, what, all of that kind of stuff. It's something that we don't talk about, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap. Oh crap, we owe this much. Oh crap. Like that's usually the conversation that happens with people, okay? So let's talk about these 4 rules. I hope you guys are taking notes. Are you taking notes?
Yes.
Awesome. First rule. We don't plan for the next 5 years and have a mindset of abundance. This is why we fail when it comes to finances. We don't plan for the next 5 years and have a mindset of abundance. Instead, what we do is we plan for the next month and we have a mindset of lack. You know, there was I said earlier we were talking about mindset, right? And anybody remember what I compared mindset to? Anybody remember? That hurts, guys, I'm not going to lie. That's a big hit. Chess and checkers. And I talked about how mindset a lot of times is like air. Right? You guys remember that? And what did I say about air? You can't what? Can't touch it. You can't live without it. You can't touch it, can't feel it, can't share it. But you also can't live without it, right? Mindset is the exact same thing. You know, Tony Robbins had a quote. You guys know Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins had a quote. He said, people massively overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they massively underestimate what they can do in the next 5 to 10 years. That comes from what I said before, that ADD mentality. I was at a conference recently and I said, we've literally become so ADD we don't even say attention deficit disorder. Like we've literally shortened the word. Think about that for a second. And so what happens is that we massively overestimate what we can do in the next 12 months. Why? Because we're super motivated. Because we see people who come on stage who say, I was here and now I'm here. And we go, if they can do it, who can do it? I can do it, right? And the problem is you don't see everything. You know, oh, I wish I showed this picture right now, but I can't. I posted a picture on Instagram recently. I was walking out to an audience of thousands of people. And I'm walking out and somebody got a picture of me, like literally it was like the shadow of my back right before I walked out into this arena style whatever. And I gave this example and I said, you know, it's funny because everybody is going to focus on my time on the stage. That's what it's all going to be about. They're going to be like, oh, on the stage, love Jared on the stage, everything's on the stage, you were amazing today on the stage, oh, on the stage, on the stage, on the stage. Was I made on that stage? It was everything that came before that stage. Right? What do we usually see, guys? We see the stage. What's that mean in your life? We see everything that you become. We see everything that you work towards. We see, you ever heard that like overnight success, like that kind of thing, which I don't think there's any such thing, except maybe in reality world where it's gone in 15 minutes anyway, but most people are not an overnight thing. I remember I went to a high school reunion and I had all these people from my high school reunion, asking me all these questions, going, "You're so lucky, oh my God, you're so lucky, you're so lucky, so lucky." You can imagine how much I loved that. You're so lucky. There are all the things that happen behind the scenes that take years, that take building the infrastructure that actually matters, that take consistency, that take focus. For some of you right now, I'm going to use a real world example, okay? In your head, don't actually do it, but if I were to say how many of you are in the shape that you want to be in, what percent of this audience do you think would raise their hand? 2%? Probably not a lot. And by the way, shape, all of you went to shape. Shape is more than that. There are thin people who are unhealthy. Okay? Now, how long did that take? How many years of saying, whatever? How many years of skipping gym? How many years? So let me ask you this. Now you get your mindset right, you start hitting the gym and eating right. Is it going to fix in a week? No. You think your finances are any different? We have created bad habits. We have created this, what am I going to do in the next year? What am I going to do in the next year? We're supposed to be looking at 5 to 10 years. We're supposed to be looking at how exactly does that happen to have a 10% growth rate. Now you're going to hear story after story, even people on the top producer panel. They're going to tell you, I met Jared last year, I'm up 35%. Where's the lady who came up to me when we were signing books and she said, you made me $35,000 in the last however many months? Is she in here right now? If so, I can't see you. All right, if you're not in here. She said I made her $3 million. That's what she, I'm just kidding, guys. She wasn't here, so I took some liberties, guys. I know it's the afternoon, but you got to pick it up, okay? So I said to her, she came over and she goes, you don't even know. She said, you've made me like $35,000 in the past however many months, like whatever it may be. There's stories like that. There's things that happen like that. But do you have a 5-year plan? Do you have a 10-year plan? Do you know exactly how it's going to happen? Where's it? Beth, are you right there? So I used to coach one-on-one back in the day. I used to coach Beth. It was 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. It was a while ago. Okay, wasn't that long ago. We're not that old, okay? Yeah. So 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I remember having a conversation with you where we were coaching and you had like what at that time was a monster year. It was a really good year. She was like, oh, and I said, well, what are you going to do next year? And she said something like, I'm going to make $400,000 next year. And I said to her, I said, why? And she goes, well, I figured I did this much this year, and that was an increase of this over that year, so I assume next year I'll do whatever. And I said, prove it to me. Show me how that happens. And I actually made her go through the routine of showing me that it doesn't just happen. There's no genie. Do you know what the problem is? If I had let her go and that actually happened, do you know what the problem with that is? That she had no control over it, and the next year she could have gone down just as much and had no control over it as well. But now, I was joking around with her last night. What do you rank nationally now within your company? 33 in the country now, okay? But you gotta know where you're going. You gotta know how it's gonna happen. I would actually be scared if you came to our conference and 1 month from now, you were #1 in your marketplace. That would worry me. Because I have this belief that anything that can be built overnight, what else can happen overnight? It can fall apart overnight. Second thing, and I love this slide, so I'll show it to you. This is one of my favorite slides. You gotta work until your bank account looks like a phone number. This is work ethic. I'm not gonna lie to you, this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just love this slide, okay? Sometimes I look at this slide, so that was free, okay? Next thing though. Now this is, out of everything I'm gonna tell you during this session right here, I want you to pay attention to this right here. We focus way too much on our inflow and not enough on our outflow. Here's what I mean. Okay, here's an example. If I ask you, what's your goal for next year? What just popped into your head? What's your goal? Yell it out, what's your goal?
Spending so much money.
How much? A lot, he said. So guys, here's the point I'm making to you. When we set our goals, we always go with what our income is going to be, and we never set our goals on what our outflow, our spending is going to be. It's always income. And yet, our expenses in many cases, from a business perspective, is where the business is actually created. So why do we always think about, what's my goal? 300,000. What's my goal? 400,000. What's my goal? It's the sexier thing to look at. It's you see what I'm saying? And so ultimately we've got to get to the place where we understand that your outflow, what you are going to spend to make that happen, is just as important as anything you're going to do from an income perspective. Do you realize any other business that you go into, there's going to be an overhead that happens, there's going to be what's called margins, right? You make a product, here's what the packaging is going to cost, here's what it's going to cost to put it on the shelf, do you run your own business? You do, right? And so ultimately, when you're looking at it, what are your margins? Who knows, is there anybody in here right now that's looking at it and going, I don't really know what my expenses are for the next year? Is there anybody looking at this going, I don't know what my outflow is, I'm not really sure, I just kind of like, when something comes up, if it sounds like it's a good ROI, then I'll just do it. If somebody gets on the stage and says, if you just did one more transaction, this would pay for itself. Have you ever heard that one? It's true. It's actually true. But that's the stuff that we don't understand what it's going to cost us to get there. And here's the problem. When you don't have a spending plan, when you don't have a spending goal, do you know what you ultimately do? You rely on your emotions. You rely on, okay, whatever, we'll just do that. Okay, well, I wasn't planning for that, but that sounds good. Basically, the litmus test is, sounds good, doesn't sound good. What have you spent this month? You know, they found that when people use credit cards to pay for things, on average, they spend 32% more money. How does that happen? And Rachel, flip this one to the next one, because this thing's not working. Why does that happen?
Because you have to worry about it later, not right now.
Because it's not real money, there's no real transaction. So let me ask you something, is that an argument you can make when the credit card company calls? Sir, if it means anything, I just wasn't really able to. You know, I didn't know that it was real. I meant this one down here. That's what happens, right? And so what we've got to do is we got to start understanding, okay, at the beginning of the year, here's what I'm going to spend on this. Here's what I'm going to spend on this. This is what I'm going to spend on this. This is what's going to happen over here. And then when things come up, it's not a matter of whether it's good or bad. Guys, I can tell you 10 million things that are good things to spend your money on, right? I can tell you a ton of things that are great to spend your money on. Does it mean that you want to spend your money on all those things? When you go into a store and they say, hey, 36% off. Is that a good deal? Good deal, right? 36% off means you're spending 64%. You understand that? Good deal or not a good deal, you're still spending 64%. We've got to change the way we're looking at this. So let's look at the next one. We're more concerned with lifestyle than we are with peace of mind. Lifestyle. My God, we've become a culture that is just, you gotta have the shoes, you gotta have the jeans, you gotta have I get told all the time, you gotta buy this watch, everybody's looking at your shoes, everybody's looking at your... Guys, I still shop off the clearance rack half the time. Like, I don't care. Like, I buy in the wintertime, clothes for summer, in the summertime I buy for the winter. You think that makes me look bad? Great. You know what I want more than clothes? I want peace of mind. Do you know what peace of mind is? Peace of mind is having money in the account, being able to come from a position of strength. Not always having to take a jump of faith every time you want to buy something and just hoping to God that it works out. That's what peace of mind is. Now, I want to show you guys a little bit. I know a lot of you can't see this over here, so I'm going to make this very clear. I'll talk out loud. This is where our finances really should be going. Okay? Now, this is going to require some lifestyle change. But, if you want to make more money, this is what's going to have to happen, okay? So, assume for a second, we've got this right here. And this right here is your pot. This is your circle. This is your income flow, okay? Here's what needs to happen. 1/3, hopefully I get this right, otherwise it's not going to look like 1/3, but whatever. 1/3 of the money that you bring in on a regular basis should be going into a tax account. Anybody ever been caught with taxes at the end of the year and went, holy crap? Right? Anybody ever had that? Yeah. Guys, independent contractor, right? 1/3 of your money. Now, are you actually going to pay 1/3? I mean, if you have a good account, then you're able to, then you're probably going to do okay. You're going to have plenty of expenses. We're going to go over in a second how you keep track of expenses. I'm going to bring up the people from deductor. But 1/3 of your money right off the bat should be going straight into a tax account. Some kind of a business account you have set up where you just put money aside. It's not yours. You want to argue with me another day if we're overtaxed or not? Story for another day. Still do. Okay, going to go into a personal account. Another 1/3 is going to go into a personal account. Personal account is where you pay your bills, your personal bills. Personal account is where you go on vacation. Personal account is where you buy clothes. Personal account is where you do personal things. Okay? And the last third of your income, great handwriting, right? Last third of your income is going to go into a business account. What happens with a business account? What's that for? That's your business expenses. Now some of you just saw that and you went, holy crap, a third of my money is supposed to go into a business account? I'm going to tell you right now, we work with some of the top people in North America. And all anyone in this room ever focuses on is how much money they make. All they ever talk about, oh my God, 1.2 million in GCI, oh my God, 900,000 GCI, oh my God, 300,000 GCI, oh my God. What you're not looking at, what did we say before? Inflow, outflow? You're not looking at what it costs to do that, what the cost of business is to do that. You want 1/3 of your money to go right into tax. You want 1/3 of your money to go right into a personal account. You want 1/3 of your money to go back into business expenses. Business expenses, examples of business expenses are things like coaching, or things like creating your leads, getting your, look, there's many people in here. You can be anti, for, whatever you want, all the Zillows and Trulias and our programs and everything else. If you're making money on it, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. If you're getting a return on investment, that's a great business expense. But when you look at it, the way we're doing it right now is basically we're taking this and we're taking personal, and it's like 90% of what you're doing, because we got to keep up with the Joneses. Because we've got to, and then tax time comes and we go, oh crap, what am I going to do? And then it comes time at something like this and you're going, oh, I want check equity, I want to be able to start creating opportunities, I get what they're doing, that looks fabulous, I need to be coached, I need accountability, I need to be, and you're looking at it and you're going, I don't, but there's nothing left over. That's a lifestyle problem. I said to someone the other day, and I think I might have said it this morning as well, when you look at your lifestyle, if I were you, and I'm just talking to you guys strictly from a business owner perspective right now, if I was in a position where I could not pay for marketing and pay for coaching or pay for whatever is out there that's going to help my business grow, to put me in a position of strength in everything I do, but then I was going out to eat constantly, and I was going and, you know, God forbid we get a coffee maker, I'm going and getting coffee every single day, and I'm just throwing money around, I would not be okay with that. Because let me ask you this, how much is that cup of coffee going to make you? How much did that dinner make you? How much did that you know, every week golf make you? How much did that... We have got to start looking at our lifestyles and understanding that our business and our life are not two separate things. They work together. When your business is successful, you are able to have it. And that, by the way, guys, I'm not saying you're never going to be able to go and do your golf and go and do your dinners 2 times a week and go and do... I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're doing it now and you can't afford to invest in your business, then you can't afford to be going out either. Because you're just living week to week, paycheck to paycheck. You are literally one injury away from disaster. Any of you thought about retirement? Because it's not going to avoid showing up. Right? Guys, I'm talking real talk with you. I deal with thousands of you. I know what happens. We don't have sellable businesses, right? Because we're it. We are everything. No, they want me. And then it comes time for retirement time. You're better off working in the prison for 20 years. Right? Because now when it comes to try to sell it, or sell our business, or sell the book of business we built up, to sell something we spent 30, 40 years creating, it has zero value because we're it. And what do? We build the very prisons we live in. Right? We build the daily prisons we live in, with the fact that we can't get away from our phones, and the fact that we can't. Right? We build a long-term prison because retirement starts creeping up, and every year we go, I'll just work this much longer. I'll just work this, I'm going to start saving. I'm going to start saving. I'm going to start saving. And then tax time, oh crap, there goes that savings. And but I have to go on vacation. I can't give that up. Can't do that. Can't do that to our kids. Can't do that to your kids. What are you doing to your kids by teaching them a financial system that is going to hurt them for years and years to come. But hey, you went to an all-inclusive resort, right? We have to start thinking like this. Because I'm just telling you, like, I can come out before and I can joke around with you guys and I can say, oh, I've been broke and I've been not broke. That's my impression of me, in case somebody's wondering. I've been broke, I've been not broke, and I'm telling you it's easier to not be broke. But I'm coming from a position of real. Like, I've been broke, right? I grew up broke. That stuff sucks. It's fun to joke about here, but it sucks, right? I mean, it's... So you have to get to the point where you start to realize, I am making this... You ever notice people who make $30,000 and they say, you ever had the thought, if I could just make a little more money? You ever had that thought? Oh, okay, so now I make $50,000, I'm still broke though. I could just make a little more money. Okay, I got about $70,000. I could just make a little more money. Who's the common denominator? We're buying into consumerism. We're buying into things that give us no value. We're buying into things that don't matter. We're buying into things. How much greater? If I were to have you put together a list right now of all the things you purchased in the last 10 years that you wish you never had, and then I showed you the number on that, you would throw up in your mouth right now. True? Some of you are thinking of something right now, and you're just like, oh my God, why did I do that? Because it was 36% off. You guys are getting real about this stuff. Because I can get up in front of you and I can be motivational, and you can watch my videos on YouTube, and you can think my kids are adorable, and you can do all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, what are you going back to? You're going back to a position of strength, or you're going back to a just hanging on, or you're going back to I think I need to get a job on the side. Those are really the three places you're going to go to. Okay? So it's important that we start to take this stuff serious, and when I say taking it serious, I mean, look, third goes into taxes. Third goes into personal expenses. Third goes into business expenses. So it's not about how do I make that personal one bigger and the business one smaller, because that's what a lot of people want to do in here. It's about what in my lifestyle right now needs to go for right now. Okay? For right now. There are things that I do now that I wouldn't have done many years ago. Because in my personal expenses I can do that. Okay? But there was a time when I could not, and that doesn't make me less than anybody, that makes me a responsible adult. Right? And that puts me in a position where, again, when we talk about my kids later on and others, what I am instilling in them is invaluable. That stewardship, right? It's stewardship. My son's name is Grayson. Either means son of the gray-haired man or son of the steward. I'm going to go with steward. I'm sorry to down you guys with such serious info, but it's just, okay. They're like, when's he going to make a joke again? Soon enough. There you go. Yeah, exactly. That was kind of a half joke, or some of you got that. Fourth one. We aren't honest with ourselves and what we really want. We're not honest with ourselves and what we really want. Guys, everything is motivation. What was that movie, Gary Ross Doss? What was it called? Glenn Ross. You guys remember Alec Baldwin in there? Remember when he walked into the room and he said, all right guys, here's the deal. First place, Cadillac. Second place, set of knives. Third place, you're fired. Anybody remember that? Popular movie here, I can tell. You get the point. First place. Do you think the people who were sitting in that room got a little more motivated? Right? They went, well, I don't want knives. I want my job. Cadillac, I guess, really, they were probably thinking, beyond just the Cadillac, I get to keep my job, right? Could you imagine if somebody walked into your office and they said, all right, guys, here's what's going to happen. We are having a listing presentation or listing appointment contest. There are 21 of you in this office. Top 7 people. You're going to get $200,000. Next 7, you're going to get a pat on the back. Next 7, you're going to get eaten by a crocodile. Are you going to tell me your patterns did not just change? Huh? Is there any way in this world that you are not working your butt off and doing whatever you have to do to not get eaten by a crocodile? Would you change? Everything is motivation. The problem, again, is that we say, we're not truthful with ourselves. We say we're fed up. We say, oh, I want to make more money. We say, actions speak differently. Because if I told you you could eat like crocodile, I don't know where that came from, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's not like a planned thing. I don't know where that even comes from. It just sounded terrible. Yeah, it's like, it's right up there with getting eaten by a shark. I always say the only thing worse than being killed by a shark is not being killed by a shark. It just like takes half of you away. But you see my point. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's what goes on in here, guys. It's sick man, okay? My point is this though, guys, I use extreme examples to make the point to you, okay? If I said to you, this 7 get this 7 get this, and this 7 get this, did your daily patterns just change? So what's the problem? When you hear Sean get up here, and he talks about what he's doing and how he had that one thing in his life that made him change. When you see the coaches get up here, when you see the top producers are going to get up here in a little bit and they talk about their change, if you don't start getting honest with yourself and telling yourself, you know what, I've kind of been okay with this right now. I say that I'm upset with it because I know that I should. It doesn't sound like something I shouldn't, but I'm kind of okay with it. Otherwise, I'd make a change. If I was going to eat by a crocodile, change. But we are so fortunate to live in a country where even poverty is fantastic. You know, go to the ghetto and they have 60-inch TVs. That's a ghetto, right? And so we're sitting here going, well, I gotta make more money, I gotta make more money. And the truth is, it's not that bad. We've got to set negative consequences. Motivation is everything. What is going to motivate you? Anybody been following me for more than 3 years? By the way, just, that hurt. Show me your hands again, because I'm about to get kicked off. I'm just gonna, okay? Anybody remember when I was talking about what I did with my kids? And how I said with my kids, like I had one goal, because I have 2 boys. Anybody remember this story? Okay? And I said, I have 2 boys. And I started going to the gym and I started running. And it wasn't because I needed to be some physique, whatever. It was because I got 2 boys, and when they're in high school, I still want to dominate them. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Like, and I was legit. Like, I want to dominate them and their friends when they're in high school. Now, for me, that's a real thing. For you, you think that's silly, and you're like, that motivates me. To this day, the only reason I can still talk about it is I still go to the gym, I still run. I still go to the gym, I still run. I still go. Does it suck? Yeah. Yeah, it does. Especially I live in Connecticut, guys. It gets cold in the winter, okay? It sucks. And I can't do an indoor treadmill. I mean, shoot me now. Like, this is so boring. But ultimately, that thing mattered to me. What's going to matter to you? The negative consequence of that is that I am not going to get to dominate my children. Some of you are trying to figure out if it's a joke or not, so on your face. They're like, should I laugh at that? Is that funny? I'm not sure. Someone dominating his children. Is it DCF? Is that the name of the place? But for me, that's real. What's going to matter to you? Does it matter to you that you're not going to be able to send them somewhere? Does it matter to you that you can't go places with you? Does it matter to you that you don't have the security in the account? You don't have that money? Does it matter to you? Peace of mind has got to start to be the #1 thing you want. That, look, I'm going to do everything I can to create predictable business, but God forbid if that deal falls apart, it's not going to ruin what I'm doing. It doesn't change my strategy. That's what coming from a position of strength is. A deal falling apart doesn't change your strategy. Some of you know what I'm talking about. We get it all the time. In the marketing or in the virtual coaching, we get people who, I just have to suspend right now, I have some deals fall apart. And I feel for those people, I really do. There's another side who wants to call them and have this lesson with them, because I've been there. Okay? We got to start taking it a little more serious. Is that good, guys?